Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the late night Dragon Warrior randomizer match here on RPG Limit Break. This is our final match of the day, and we have a matchup with Xarnax42 versus Edge. Our restreamer tonight is Lord of the Synth. We have tracking with the stuff being tracked on the bottom by Angel FM, and I'm going to be joined in the booth here with Lavkian. Lavkian, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic. Very much looking forward to this matchup. We have here, obviously, a grizzled veteran in Xarnax42, and I would say an experienced journeyman in EdgeTalvaron, and both of them are 1-0, and both obviously hoping to continue their winning streak. So, yeah, should be a good one. Very much excited.
Yeah, we're just here in week 2 of 5 rounds of Swiss before we get into kind of a more bracketed playoff section of the tournament. But yeah, for those of you who may be unfamiliar, the player's goal tonight is going to be to find and defeat the evil Dragon Lord. In order to do so, they're going to have to explore the world of Alfgard in order to uncover 3 key quest items, meet a couple of old men to do some exchanges, and along the way they'll fight a series of random encounters against various monsters with randomized abilities in order to gain experience and stats so that they'll be strong enough to win things at the end of the game.
And looking at the stats here, depending on how you feel about 1 and 16s, they might be strong enough sooner than you think.
Yes, I can see from the stats that it looks like our players tonight are going to be having the good luck of starting with the Hurt More spell. They'll only have enough magic points right at the beginning to be able to cast it once, but that spell is powerful enough to take down probably like 2/3 of the enemies that you might encounter in the game in a single hit, so we might see some very quick experience and early levels up if they can find some good enemies right out of the gate. But who knows, maybe they'll start in a swamp.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what chat's hoping for. Maybe even hoping that it's possible to start with barrier tiles around Tantagel. That would make it really exciting. But with these flag sets, I have to imagine that as soon as they see that level 1 Hurt More, they'll just be looking to get into zones 1 and 2 as quickly as possible to try to get themselves a wolf or something of that nature.
Yes, indeed. It looks like both of our runners have chosen the name Capital Z, which means they're going to be using a strength and HP favoring build. That seems to be the most common one, but for those who don't know, the names of the characters that you select at the beginning kind of affects how the stats are going to unroll, but they're getting things started. Let's check out these treasure chests here in the throne room.
Alrighty, yeah, it remains to be seen. Obviously, we do have that key sitting behind the throne, but everything else has got to be checked first. We have wings, so not only is it a Hurt More start, but they're going to get to keep the key. Oh my goodness.
And the other chest was Erdrick's token, so they're actually starting with one of the 3 main quest items that they need to go out at finding. But yeah, they are going to use... Looks like Xarnax is actually going to walk around the castle for a little bit. He's still got the key in his back pocket, so ideally you would like to get, I think, is it 85 gold that you need to be able to purchase a key in the back of Tantagel? Some of that money, so that he doesn't have to use the key.
I do believe it's either 85 or 86. I can never remember off the top of my head, but fortunately, our runners here aren't going to have to remember because the money is going to be rolling in pretty darn quickly as long as they keep that MP topped off. And yeah, they will be able to start printing keys momentarily. And oh my goodness, level 3 absolutely loaded with spells.
And I think I misspoke before and said that they only had 1 cast for more at the start. I didn't realize they had as many magic points as they did and have 2. But yeah, we might see, for example, like Edge is going back to this old man in the castle who can replenish all your magic points. That is a strategy in order to get the magic points back, or just a death warp. Both of them are going to be pretty quick in order to get back out on the battlefield, and unfortunately the werewolf has sleep, and so that's going to take out Xarnax after he takes a little nap.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate. Checking out the custom sprites that we have going on tonight. Xarnax42 going with the Tov sprite. Tov, of course, the dog that helps Taloon chase away Tricky Fox in Dragon Warrior 4. Edge, meanwhile, using a sprite I don't think I've seen before. I want to say I saw him talking about this in the Discord. We do have Dark Knight Cecil from Final Fantasy IV.
That's a fun one. In general, there's a whole lot of fun sprites that one can choose, and actually a number of them are due to one of our runners, Xarnax42, I think, is responsible for adding a bunch of these sprites into the randomizer that players can choose or have selected at random. But yeah, these early levels are rolling in. We're going to see Xarnax picking up level 4 here. And at this point, they've also picked up a few more spells, including just now the spell of Heal, it looks like. So yeah, and Repel, like they have really a lot of assets to get off to a very fast start here.
Absolutely, and in Hurtmore Seeds, you're not really as concerned with sleep, for example, so honestly, I would say that having this stop spell, potentially if Xarnax can stop getting back attacked by werewolves, he would have a chance at mitigating their ability to put him to sleep, but so far, so unlucky. But with that stop spell outside and repel, I mean, these are great spells for once you get to those higher levels, just for making everything a bit more efficient.
Yeah, and we see Edge picking up a level 5 here, and that's giving a little bit more agility, so that's going to make it a little less likely that the characters are going to get unlucky and get back attacks from some of these bigger enemies. So yeah, we'll just see. There was a cave that appeared on the upper left of Xarnax's screen. He'll probably try to head back in that direction just to take a peek inside if he can.
As the levels keep rolling in, here is level 5 for Xarnax, coming in with 6, 11, 6, and 3. So, yep, more agility here is on the docket. And closing in on Lorgon, I actually picked this up from you. I remember you mentioning at one point that you really looked for 40 agility or better to start getting out on the map, as that gives you pretty much a coin flip chance to get away from anything up to and including blue dragons when you're out on that world map.
Indeed, yeah, I usually use about 40 as the threshold for feeling good about being able to explore, especially with Hurtmore. So long as you get the first action on most of the monsters, unless you run into those top-tier Charlock monsters, you've got a good chance of getting the first action and either being able to try to run away or just take him down with the Hurtmore. We're going to see another level here, 14, 7, 7, and 4 on level 6 for Edge. And I think at this point he has enough gold also. He looks like he might be heading back into Tangel, perhaps to buy some keys.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised not to see Xarnax doing this yet, prioritizing the world map exploration, and has found himself Mountain Cave. Did check for that Repel, but no such luck. And I'm kind of curious if maybe Xarnax was hoping to find a town, and I mean now with Mountain Cave, if he can make his way all the way through, and if there happens to be gold in the Tantangel Treasury or in the basement, could do himself a little gold grind. But right now, interesting situation here because no knowledge of towns. Edge also declining to start buying more keys, just really wanting to get that early experience going. So interesting choices here from both of our runners.
Yeah, and if I were in the situation, yeah, it's hard to keep track of, I think, what I would be choosing to do either. When you get off to these really fast starts, I always feel that it's kind of like a little bit of a rush of adrenaline. Shorter seeds always kind of carry more risk, like any one big mistake that you do could be like the thing that sinks you, and you feel like you're in a rush. Did we just pick up the silver harp? I missed what was there in the second chest in Mountain Cave.
I believe I saw the silver harp there, and okay, good. There is another key. I was a little bit worried. Angel did mention that Edge used his key instead of winging out, so he didn't keep that key like he would have been able to. But nothing to fear. There is a key available in Mountain Cave, which is pretty close by, and it looks like Xarnax pretty much not having any kind of problem getting this cleared out. Should just have one more chest to check, and then we will be fully clear of Mountain Cave.
Yeah, and so just to recap, it seems like Mountain Cave had gold, the silver harp, an herb, an extra key, and now finally in the 5th chest, if Xarnax can make it past Druin, we're going to get a chance to look here, and he finds another magic key. Okay, so yeah, Edge, so long as Edge discovers the Mountain Cave, is not going to be any problem with regards to keys. It'll be interesting now to see if Xarnax chooses to try to take a Death Warp or not.
Well, he is definitely... if he wasn't looking for a Death Warp there, he was trying to be kind of efficient and cheeky about it, just using his bare fist to take down a wolf. Let's find a metal slime here. Of course, we do have that scale metal slime for less experience, but doesn't matter. It's got that baby dragon breath and sent Xarnax right back. And now I have to imagine we're going to get a look at that treasury.
Yeah, in the meantime, Edge managed to get another level up. I think it was like 7-2-1-2, and is continuing to do some grinding, but now has spotted the cave for the first time. So it's likely that he's going to go out down there, get in keys, and we're going to be in a very similar situation. Xarnax slightly ahead on the exploration, and Edge slightly ahead on the experience.
And we do have gold here in the treasury, which means Xarnax has already started printing money, as you do. For anyone in chat not familiar with how this chest glitch works, basically, when this game was originally programmed, they created a little registry value that holds up to 8 chests at a time. So once a chest goes away, it gets stored in memory, and it does not get loaded back into the game until you go to the world map. So if you take a death in a cave after opening up a few chests, those will stay in memory. The 3 chests that we opened up in the throne room also get loaded into memory, and since Xarnax picked up 5 in the mountain cave, every single chest that he finds here in the treasury and potentially here in this cave, this is a small cave, so no chests here, but anyway, just stays there on the map, and you can just get money to your heart's content. 4,800 gold, interesting place to stop.
Yeah, I guess without knowing that there's a town nearby, it's hard to decide whether you want to get the gold now, especially with the spell of Hurt More or whatever. Like, even without being able to purchase equipment, you're going to be in good shape. It'll be easy to get some more money later on. But yeah, that could be enough for a full plate and a broadsword if he manages to stay alive and make it to a town.
Yeah, full plate or a broadsword, or maybe full plate hand axe, large shield. Lots of good options for something in that kind of middle range. Maybe even just, again, since it's a Hurt More seed, maybe just going to go ahead and prioritize that armor if he can find it. But, ooh, unfortunate. Not sure if that was the spike tile or if he was just walking his way through.
Yeah, I wasn't keeping track of his walking well enough either, but yeah, there's definitely some type of blue dragon down in the swamp cave underneath Tangential Castle.
Interesting enough, though, he lost... this is kind of a rare situation because obviously he lost half his money here from dying, but he actually would have the option of refilling if he wanted to. Clearly not super concerned with that, as again, haven't found any towns just yet.
And in the meantime, it looks like a wizard has taken out Edge. So he hasn't had a chance to get quite the exploring done just yet. Inside the Tangential Treasury, I don't know if we called it out, there was also the Stones of Sunlight, which is one of the other main story items, as well as the Fighter's Ring, which, when equipped, gives 2 extra attack power to the bearer. And so Xarnax has those advantages, and now is exploring out onto what might be a second continent.
Yeah, and Edge now outside of Mountain Cave. I did not see if he managed to get any of the chests or not, but I don't see keys marked on his inventory in the tracker. So this is pretty unfortunate if he did not manage to get keys, because he's really going to need those as soon as possible. But some locations here for Xarnax. That looks like it might have been the grave.
And then the town of Cantlin, which it looks like he's indecisive about whether he wants to spend time right now buying any equipment. He goes in and out and now back in. With 2,600 gold, yeah, it definitely seems like it would be worth picking something up.
Yeah, half plate, large shield, I think those are obvious purchases here. Could head over to that item shop and pick up some herbs for himself. Goes ahead and buys the hand axe. Interesting choice here, again, with that Hurt More in his back pocket. It's going to be a little while before that hand axe comes into play, but could be useful once they pick up that Heal More spell.
Yeah, might as well. It seems like if you're going to go for any of the big-ticket items, you can always set up the gold grind to do again later. And so you might as well just kind of spend all the money that you have in your pockets right now in the hopes that it's going to help you out. But yeah, that's going to put him on some very firm footing here for the mid-game. And meanwhile, Edge is headed back into, well, looks looks like he's going to explore a little bit more of the map before he heads back into Mountain Cave. It might have caused him to shy away just a little bit. But yeah, with the good enemies he's finding outside, he'll be able to get level 9 pretty quickly, perhaps.
Yeah, closing in on that pretty fast, passing up Mountain Cave, so we're going to get to see a town here that we haven't seen just yet.
And it does look like Xarnax is choosing to use his excess keys now to go and talk to the old man in Cantlin. He'll perhaps have some coordinates of a location to search on the overworld for either, I guess we've already found the quest items on Xarnax's side, so it could be Erdrick's Sword, Erdrick's Armor, the Death Necklace, or the Fairy Flute are the remaining items. Oh my gosh, 3 north, 14 west. That's really small coordinates. He'll easily be able to walk and count that out really quick. And meanwhile, Edge is finding some towns as well. Cole has a search spot too.
Alrighty, well, this just got pretty spicy, as now we do have some different information for each of our runners, and Edge finding the sword.
That's pretty big. Plus 40 attack power means that the enemies that aren't going to fall to hurt wars because they're particularly resistant to it, he'll be able to still fight them out. So yeah, this is really looking like it has the potential to be a very fast seed.
Absolutely, and with Xarnax picking up the Death Necklace off the search spots, that is going to leave Hawksness as a potential spot for the armor, and barring that, it will be buried in a chest somewhere. Don't believe we've seen any cursed belts just yet. That might point us in the direction of how many search spots we do have in this seed that are populated.
But yeah, interesting to see that divergence that started when Edge didn't use the wings to escape with the original key, and then died in the mountain cave, is taking a different route, but he's finding some good stuff. And so this could be one of those races where the runners end up on very different paths, and then kind of converge again toward the end game. But this is pretty interesting.
Absolutely, yeah. So we basically see the divergence here is that Edge, without keys, has no access to Tangential Basement, and so is spending all of his time on the first continent, while Xarnax is spending time on the second continent. And the really interesting part in this is that we see that both are required. Well, actually, I guess we're not sure if the opposite continent is required just yet. Death Necklace may or may not be required, but locations on both continents in any case.
Indeed, the one thing that I think is really working potentially against Edge is the fact that there were 2 loose keys in the mountain cave. There's only 3 loose keys among all the chests that one can find, and so unless he comes across Remolder, he's definitely going to need to make the choice to go back into mountain cave in order to get those keys to get things unlocked. And right now, I guess finding Garanham would be kind of the worst thing that could happen to him, because he won't have the keys to get into the back, whereas once Xarnax find it, he will. So hopefully he'll find the keys before he finds Garen.
Absolutely, and sees a cave up there. Could be one of those old men that we're looking for, because we are running out of dark caves to look for. I don't think Xarnax popped his head back into that other cave, but just based on the way his sprite was facing, I want to say that should have been the grave, so I'm a little bit surprised he didn't go back to check those top 3 chests, but in either case, Edge gets sent back, and now I am just willing him to go back into Mountain Cave and pick himself up a key before too long.
Indeed, it looks like he's getting very close to getting level 9, and if he does get level 9 before he walks right back over there, perhaps whatever stats come along with that will entice him inside. And yeah, he's fighting. If he doesn't get put to sleep by the werewolf, he manages to one-shot it, so this is going to give him level 9, and then he'll probably step 2 more steps right into the mountain cave right here. But at level 9, 3, 2, 7, 5. We've got pretty average stats for where we are at level 9 in this case. A little bit low in magic and agility, perhaps, but the strength and HP are doing just fine for a typical level 9 in the seed.
Absolutely. Boldly trying to take on a wizard here. If he had a little bit more in the armor department, maybe similar to what Xarnax has, might be able to take that on, but just a little bit too much to chew on right now. This Warlock's going to be not a problem. Xarnax, meanwhile, deciding that he was temporarily done with exploring the opposite continent and takes an intentional death warp in the swamp and will now, I have to imagine, very quickly find all of these locations that Edge has found.
And meanwhile, Edge is having a lot more success so far diving the mountain cave. He's managing to run from enemies he needs to run from, kill off a few others. He's getting down to the second floor, and these chests are very closely clustered together here, so it shouldn't take him much time to pick out all 4 that are down here. And even if he only gets the first 3, the last one's just an excess key that he won't actually need.
Always unfortunate, though, in the event that you do get bopped out when you just have that one chest remaining. It's always a nightmare to try to decide whether or not you want to go back for it or leave it until later. Does get that silver harp, so we do know, of course, up here in the commentator's booth that once he picks up that key, he'll have everything that was of import in this cave.
And so yeah, we saw a Goldman use Hurtmore to knock out Edge a little bit earlier. Okay, he does manage to get to at least one of the keys, so that's kind of even back out already. Have we seen any other monsters with any notable spells? I see Xarnax trying to grind.
Yeah, just the werewolves with sleep. Other than that,
Right.
yeah. Other than that, in Hurtmore Seeds, you tend not to see the nasty spells because you just kill things too fast. And speaking of nasty things, we are going to get our first look at the Hawk's Nest monster in a moment.
It is a blue dragon, and so if it had been a blue dragon in the Swamp Cave as well, we might have a blue dragon on both spikes. It's got Stop Spell, which is kind of nice. But at this point, it's going to be a difficult monster to take down, and it looks like Xarnax was just kind of going for the Hail Mary there, willing to take a Death Warp.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty decent information to have, as if they use Stop Spell pretty often, then Xarnax could just walk right back over there and just fire off a Stop Spell of his own and try to get that blue dragon stuck in a loop. But we'll have to walk back to see if he wants to make that happen or not. And Cornhusker, I agree. May want to finish that up pretty quickly here because I don't think we're going to be here for too long. We have seen Sharlock already, and both of our runners do have all 3 quest items. It's just a matter of where we need to go to turn them in. And now, I mean, you called it out, Morgan. We're already seeing that convergence point as now Edge is going to head over to that second continent, get that exploration done. Xarnax, meanwhile, going to explore this first continent. Looks like it's going to probably do what I said before, and yep, going to go ahead and see if he can get the Stop Spell off here.
Alright, with successful channel to Stop Spell, if the blue dragons are indeed spell heavy, he'll have a lot of chances to either land some Hurtmores or try to finish them off with the Hand Axe. And I think he's going to take him down. Blue Dragon is going to be worth 180 experience, almost getting him to level 10, but there's nothing on the Hawk's Nest tile.
So that is going to leave the Grave, Tablets, Stones of Sunlight Cave, and lastly Sharlock as potential locations for that armor.
And the back of Garanham, I suppose, as well. Yeah, so at this point, yeah, a lot of it's going to come down to getting some good exploration. With both the players having keys and Silver Harp already in hand, the order in which they kind of encounter the various things that they still need to find isn't going to matter a whole lot. Yeah, so we'll see who manages to do efficient exploration while managing to kill some enemies and get some good experience along the way. Seems like Xarnax is content to try to stay here and grind out the rest of level 10 here on the Blue Dragon, which does seem like it really likes the Stop Spell. 75% Stop Spell, 25% Weak Breath of Fire. So that's pretty kind for an enemy that offers that much experience. And it's a big level, 16 power, 3, 6, and maybe another 6. I missed the last one.
Yeah, getting pretty much another hand axe for himself there with that power boost. You do like to see that, especially you know, if that swamp spike was a blue dragon, you're going to want your attack power to be as high as it possibly can get before you're in grind and go mode. And of course, these stats are slowly starting to bear out in the direction that they have so far, where your HP and your strength are decent, but the MP not so much.
And it feels like we've seen that in a lot of the seeds so far this tournament, where the MP is kind of like the stat that's typically lagging behind. There have been a few small changes to the randomizer recently since the last tournament, and yeah, one of them is kind of like the stat curves and how they typically progress. And so it's not too uncommon for the runners to be a little short on magic points, but at 41 here at level 10, they're still having plenty, especially with all the attack power that they have, that they can fight some monsters and use some hurt mores or heals in order to progress to the next down.
Absolutely. Xarnax, meanwhile, finding the Shrine Cave here just below Charlock. So Edge had seen Charlock before, but didn't really walk towards it. So he's going to have to head back that way sooner rather than later to get that turned in. And now Xarnax putting himself in that perfect position that you love to be in, where, you know, as soon as you find Shrine Cave, you don't need to find it again. And as soon as you find the Jerk, you don't need to find him again.
The Jerk, of course, being the old man who we affectionately refer to the Jerk. He trades in for the Rainbow Drop once you have the Staff of Rain, the Stones of Sunlight, and the token. And we call him the Jerk because if you don't have the appropriate items when you visit him, he is mean to you and kicks you out of the cave immediately. And speak of the devil, there he is. Why did Xarnax just leave? He might have forgotten that he has all the items.
Oh no! Yeah, I mean, it's not terribly often that...
Right, we're less than 24 minutes in. You don't usually have all the quest items at this point. Especially, well, I guess, was the token... Yeah, the token was in the original throne room. It's easy to forget when you pick up one of the items right at the beginning, especially when you've got the keys and the wings right at the start. Yeah, we talked about, you know, this being a fast seed, and everything's kind of flying by the runners. They have a lot of thinking to do.
That is exactly correct. Angel saying he might not, he might not have noticed he got the stones because...
Oh, right, because he had the chest glitch.
Yeah, so he picked up a bunch of Harp Knights, and I know he was going into his inventory because he did immediately put on that Fighter's Ring, but yeah, may have missed the stones or forgotten about the token. A very rare mental mistake here. Is going to go ahead and pick up that Erdrick sword, but wow.
Had some drama for us on the people in chat, wondering when he's going to discover that, and fortunately it didn't seem like it was too far out of the way in order to go and backtrack back to the Jerk when he needs to, and I think he'll keep track of those locations and be able to find it again. But yeah, just more stuff to make it interesting. He just went right past it in the menu as he was trading out the torch for the Fighter's Ring or something there, and so I wonder if you noticed.
Yeah, I'm hoping he just kind of made a mental note that he does in fact have all the items, and is just like, oh, you know, he doesn't need to go back right away, because it is right there. I mean, whenever he's ready to go into Charlock, he just literally has to make that one trip.
I missed what just killed Edge right there. It seemed like he was doing okay, and then all of a sudden he was back in the throne room, and I missed it.
I missed it also. Angel FM noting in chat that it was Rhythmix.
I guess it is the case that Edge, unlike Xarnax, hasn't grinded any gold in order to buy some defensive equipment, so he's sitting here at 29 defense points, whereas Xarnax has 51, and so that's making him a little bit more squishy. Looks like Xarnax is perhaps intentionally taking a death warp here in order to get back to the start and try exploring a little bit in a different direction.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many different directions they have left to check. There seems to be like little weird peninsulas jutting out from the various landmasses that they explore, but interesting choice to Death Warp here. Looks like he is heading back towards the other continent to do some exploring there, maybe just topping off the keys. Edge just keeps... He's so close to this Harp Cave. I'm not sure if we saw Xarnax go west this way. I think this is going to funnel him back up towards... Yep, there it is, right there.
All right, so that's good because you were concerned that he'd seen Sharlock but not seen the Harp Cave before. Edge is going to have a chance to trade in his harp for the Staff of Rain, and so when he does encounter the jerk, perhaps he'll be able to trade in everything for the Rainbow Drop on first try. Yeah, I'm losing track of the map at this point. But yeah, we're still, I guess, missing Garenham, Sunstone's Cave, aka Free Stuff Cave, and Tablet Cave, and Garen's Tomb, but one of those caves is going to be in the back of Garenham when we do find it. I guess Remolder's still outstanding?
And Bracket Area, of course.
But chat saying we saw Sunstone's Cave and it just had a torch.
Yes, that's where, so that was a little bit northeast of those two towns. That's where Xarnax potentially saw that he does in fact have all the quest items.
So yeah, that's still a lot of locations remaining, and so there's got to be a bit of map, but I do wonder if we're going to find like a Townsville or a Caveville kind of situation where we'll see two or three different locations on screen at once, for example. That was just Xarnax going back into Cantlin.
Yeah, I really am left scratching my head at what this cave is, because I do believe when you are facing down, when you go into a cave, it's either Swamp North or it's the Grave.
Agreed. And yeah, if it's the Grave, it's kind of curious that he chose not to go in and just kind of tapped right out of it. And he's got the outside spell. At this point, I don't remember the first time he was there, if he did. So perhaps we're about to see him dive whatever it is, and he was just getting himself strong enough to dive the Grave.
Yeah, and potentially at this point, also just wanting to top off all the resources, and yes, now going to go ahead and head back in and get this all taken care of.
And indeed, that looks like the Grave, aka Garen's Tomb, which will have 3 chests on the top floor, and then 2 other chests strewn about on some of the lower floors. But the first 3 chests that Xarnax are going to find, it has a torch, which he kindly lights up to make it easier for us to see. You've got a fairy water and some wings, so not very exciting items here on the top floor. Meanwhile, Edge has found Breckenry.
Kindly giving him a chance to upgrade his armor. No large shield here, unfortunately. We'll have to find Cantlin for that. Yeah. Much less squishy now than he was before, for sure.
And in the meantime, Xarnax seems to be having an easy time. I didn't notice if he was using Fairy Water or Repel in order to avoid monsters, but down here in the bottom of the Grave, he's had no encounters on this floor, and got all the way down to the Fairy Flute as the 4th chest. That'll put a Golem to sleep, with 100% chance if they encounter one of those.
I'm a little bit curious, because Xarnax did have the chance to not take the Fairy Flute, which of course cannot be dropped, and I'm wondering if Fairy Water strats are going to start pushing the meta towards maybe just declining the flute so that you have that extra inventory space. Xarnax not hesitating in choosing to pick it up, but just something I think about anytime that I have the chance to drop the flute. It's like, oh, do I want that inventory space or not? Sometimes it's a tough choice.
I think I'd be reluctant to do that unless I'd already seen the Golem and knew that they didn't have an ability, because just the chances that there might be a Golem on the Spike Tile in Sharlock that might have Sleep or Dragon Lord 2 Breath or something like that all of a sudden makes the Fairy Food very valuable. In any case, it looks like the bottom chest is just going to be an herb for Garen's Tombs. That's another thing that comes up mostly empty. It's good for Xarnax to have those places checked off in terms of his checklist of possible places to look for things, but we are still with the armor outstanding.
Yeah, and at this point, we've got everything ticked off except for Tablet Cave. So that
and the back of Garenham still, right?
Oh, yes, back of Garenham, yes, of course.
Oh, and Remolder. I keep forgetting about that. There's a chest there. So yeah, there's still a few possibilities.
I do believe also at this point, speaking of Tablet Cave, I believe that has to be in the back of Garenham now. I think we've seen everything else.
And it looks like when Edge found the Jerk Cave, he did manage to trade things in for the Rainbow Drop, so there's an advantage that he has relative to Xarnax in terms of the exploration and getting all the homework bits done. Using the Rainbow Drop when he encounters Sharlock, he'll be able to create a bridge in order to get inside.
Yeah, and as they keep kind of mirroring each other in exploration, and Edge doing a very good job keeping pace with Xarnax on the experience fronts, almost wonder if it could come down to a foot race into Sharlock. We definitely have seen our fair share of matches that have been within just a few minutes of each other. And the longer it takes Xarnax to realize he can just go get the Rainbow Drop, you start to wonder if it's going to come into play or not.
Right, yeah, a bunch is still gonna, come down to the location of the armor as well. But yeah, there's definitely starting to become a rising possibility to probability that the armor might be inside Sharlock, which would make for a more exciting endgame. I know chat would love that. But yeah, we've got runners who are very even on experience. We're getting more exploration done. Just as a quick recap, since we're like more than half an hour in, the token was in the original throne room, the Stones of Sunlight were in the treasury, Cole had Erdrick's sword, the Cantland coordinates were very nearby to the start and led to the Death Necklace, in Mountain Cave was the Silver Heart, and near the bottom of Garen's tomb was the Fairy Food. Those are the key items that we found thus far.
Excellent recap there, and I do believe this is going to be Stones of Sunlight Cave here for Edge, so you see that there's nothing there but a torch. And Xarnax taking yet another. This has to be the most intentional swamp deaths I have ever seen in the scene.
I feel like that's probably not the case, because swamp starts you usually end up forcing. I mean, I guess you maybe don't count them as intentional deaths when you don't have a choice. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, Xarnax really just trying to be as efficient as possible in terms of getting back to start and picking a direction that he hasn't gone in before, but this is tough. I'm also starting to lose a sense of the map, but I think he's kind of headed in the southwest direction that Edge was before. Maybe he doesn't, I'm not sure if Xarnax maps or not, but might not have that portion of the map filled out yet. But we know that all that's going to do is kind of lead him in a clockwise circle right back to Sharlock.
If I remember correctly, Xarnax does draw a map, or at least that's what I remember from, I played him in a playoff round a couple years ago in the tournament, and we were comparing notes afterwards. That said, he might have changed strategies between now and then. Yeah, I don't have a good sense these days at what percentage of the players actually draw a map versus just take some notes.
Alrighty, Edge now hitting level 12. Another 15 power,
wow.
113. And
look at that attack power.
That number light up green on the tracker. That is, yeah, that we're already in go mode here at level 12. In terms of attack power only, all the other numbers are, of course, still in white. But my goodness.
Yeah, in general, the numbers will turn green when the stat is good enough to potentially take on the Dragon Lord. They'll turn orange when the stat is kind of conditionally good enough. If the other stats are good, then it could be goat mode, and then they're white when we're just not quite there yet. Right now, the HP definitely needs to go up, and some more magic points are probably going to be necessary, but when you have tons and tons of strength, sometimes it means that you can go with the lesser of some of the other stat categories, and so we'll see if the stats in the strength continue to progress even higher. This also starts making things a little bit interesting. Xarnax isn't there yet, but I know Xarnax is especially fond, when you get this much attack power, of trying to find opportunities to kill metal slimes, which they'll start being able to certainly deal damage to with each hit here on one of these next levels.
So, I'm watching Xarnax here. I wonder if he's trying to remember where that jerk was, if he realized that he could... Yeah, he's headed back there right now. He at some point, if not as soon as he picked up that torch, realized that he has all the items. He's got to be heading back towards the jerk to go pick that up. I do believe it's just up here. I want to say it was just a little bit north of Sharlock. It might be a little bit further than I thought it was.
But meanwhile, with Edge having already established the bridge into Charlock, it looks like he has settled in to grind some blue dragons here in Hawksness. And just try to get some experience. Yeah, we still have some outstanding locations on the overworld, but perhaps he will choose to just grind and take some chances in Charlock. It's kind of unclear. This would be an interesting question after the interview, kind of here in the mid-game, when the players were still both missing some locations, what they were thinking about in terms of their endgame strategy.
It is Trap calling out that Edge seeing this blue dragon here that, I mean, at 133 attack power, he's going to be chewing through these things like so much candy. Yeah, possibly hoping for heal more here. I mean, honestly, I can't fault him for this play at all. I think this is fantastic. These levels are going to come fast and furious. Here comes level 13. What?
The stats are great, but sadly we're still missing the heal more spell. He's going to continue grinding.
Yeah, I wonder almost how, at this point, how much longer you want to stay here. I mean, yeah, you do need probably a little bit more MP. I mean, this is almost looking like borderline go mode already.
Yeah, but again, without heal more, what are you going to do, right? It does kind of now beg the question, though, of whether or not it makes sense to continue grinding, or whether you really want to spend some time on the overworld, hoping to kill some monsters along the way so you keep getting experience, but trying to find Garenham or Remolder, some of these final outstanding locations. Garenham especially, because it's going to have, I guess, Tablet Cave in the back. Yeah, just to get those checks down to see if the armor's anywhere in the overworld, or if it is going to be in Charlock.
Exactly, and Edge really committing pretty hard to this. Meanwhile, Xarnax finding Rimuldar, another chance for the armor here, but again did not go back to the jerk.
Well, sadly for Xarnax, there's just some gold in Rimuldar, and so that doesn't answer the questions. But now it's either Garenham or Charlock is going to be kind of like what you're going to need to find in order to find the armor, and the armor is the final, quote-unquote necessary item the players will need to win.
They just start pointing out that regardless of whatever you see on the world map, getting heal more at this point would be pretty huge in terms of pretty much being able to take on anything that you see. So yeah, keeping that in mind, I do like this play. Hopefully he can pull this off here with the resources that he has. It's really going to be up to that blue dragon and how much it casts stop spell. Meanwhile, this should be Garenham right here.
Yeah, okay, so we're about to get a lot of information on Xarnax's side. But yeah, meanwhile for Edge, I don't know that Edge has any survivability problems as he stands right now. So I don't know that he needs heal more to necessarily not take a single, another death during the entire game, unless he's trying to do a death warp intentionally. We'll see what happens, but let's check out these chests on Xarnax's side here in the back of Garenham. First one's just a dragon scale. Which he does immediately choose to equip, so that's good. That's an extra +2 defense points. Then he's going to find one of the cursed belts. And just some gold, so now we'll dive into Tablet Cave here in the back, and if the armor's not down here, then chat is perhaps going to get its wish.
Unfortunately, no heal more yet at level 14. Edge decides that's where he's going to stop for now. I do think that's a pretty good place to stop, because you really don't want to go all the way to heal more in this scenario, and oh dear.
Well, the third loose key was there in Tablet Cave, which means it's now confirmed the armor is in Charlock. That said, if there ever was a seed where you didn't feel too bad about having to die for the armor in Charlock, I'd have to say with these stats that we see for Edge at level 14, that's pretty good. That said, he might get 15 before he dives Charlock, because he will be looking for Garenham probably still. And yeah, I guess you probably want heal more before you start diving Charlock too.
Yeah, there's potential there. Just honestly, though, probably just spending less time in the menus. As I mean, if Edge were to go into Charlock right now and look for that armor, he has no reason to. But if he were, I mean, he's 2 or 3 shotting everything.
Yeah, that's true. I guess he can, just race a red dragon, and so unless he like gets an unlucky miss or something, he's unlikely to die, assuming his hit points are topped off. That said, yeah, he will have to spend a bit of magic constantly casting the heal spell if he doesn't have heal more yet. So, trade-offs, trade-offs. All right, it's going to be interesting to see what our runners choose to do. In the meantime, it looks like Xarnax has hopped back into Hawk's Nest to do some grinding of the blue dragon on his own, so he's going to catch up on levels here pretty quickly since they're worth 180 apiece.
Edge confirming that it is a blue dragon on both tiles, so no more efficient grind available, and so I'm not sure if Xarnax underestimated the damage or just took a death for what happened there, but a little bit unfortunate either way.
So yeah, it sees now that Edge had that information, it looks like he's heading back out onto the second continent to try to do some more exploring.
Beta, the worst NPC is the one that we booted out of the game, which was the old man in the item shop in Grinham. Shout outs to anyone who was playing back when that guy was still there.
So yeah, this will be my opportunity now to really kind of pay attention on Edge's side to exactly what the shape of the second continent looks like. I didn't notice where it was that Xarnax had found Grinham. Was it near the south end?
Yeah, I don't remember either. I definitely started losing my sense of the map there, so honestly, I'm not even sure if it was on the first or second continent.
Oh. Angel in chat is saying it was at the very north of the first continent. Okay, so I was wrong on the continent and I was wrong on the side. Great.
Xarnax, meanwhile, we were talking about it before, he has found himself a zone with metal slimes and has decided that this is where he wants to
And then, ironically, Edge just stumbles into a metal slime and hits it for 4 for 255 experience. So he's aware that that's a thing now as well. That was just in the top floor of Garen's tomb there.
Yeah, that was a pretty silly set of circumstances here, as both of our runners just taking out metal slimes like Swiss cheese. And yeah, it looks like Edge here maybe not as confident in his dark cave walking, so wants to pick himself up the torch before diving the grave, which, unfortunately does not have anything of particular value.
It's nice that there's Magic Wyverns in the same spot that Xarnax has found the Metal Slime, because that's another really good enemy just in terms of being a quick kill for a bunch of experience. And so he's up to level 13 now and is continuing to grind. Meanwhile, Edge is doing some kind of inventory homework. He is picking up a large shield, which is something that he'd been missing for a while, so that's going to kind of like fill him in terms of missing bits of armor. That'll be useful for whenever the Charlock dive finally comes.
Also going to have a quick chat with this old man to get the coordinates that Xarnax masterfully counted out not too long ago. I have to imagine as soon as he sees those, he's going to take one step to the right and go grab that death necklace.
Alright, Xarnax takes out another Metal Slime. If he can continue having some luck getting the good encounters, the Magic Wyvern and Metal Slime, he's going to get up to level 14 very quickly, and he's going to be kind of amazed by the stats as well.
Hey, you put air quotes around that. I didn't. Interestingly enough, not wanting to go search that out immediately, wants to walk out. Curious to see where he is going to go from here. I suppose back into the grave might be the most obvious choice.
I'm trying to think through the list of Charlock monsters. I think possibly we once saw a red dragon on the screen, but the player just ran away, and so we didn't get a chance to see if they had any abilities. Have we seen Armored Knights?
I don't believe that we have up to this point. Yeah,
we know werewolves at sleep.
And, of course,
Stone Man, even? Like, we've seen a Star Wyvern. We've got the Fairy Flute if you see a Golem. But there's still a lot of Charlock monsters that I feel like we're uncertain what they have. Obviously, we've seen the Blue Dragon as well, and it's quite friendly. Green Dragon is still missing, too, as far as I can tell. So basically, with all of that outstanding non-information, basically enemies that we haven't seen yet, any one of those could have an ability that's going to make diving Charlock to try to get the armor very difficult. If they have either Dragon Lore, 2 Breath, or Sleep, they could pose some trouble for the runners when it finally comes time to try and go and grab the armor. So things could still be very interesting, kind of regardless of who gets in the front door first.
Yeah, I'm not terribly sure we've seen anything red, and the agility is a smidge lacking. So yeah, there's definitely some potential hurdles for our runners to clear. But now basically just doing some homework and closing in on finding all of those chests, realizing where Erdrick's armor has to be. I think once he clears this, it's just pretty much a matter of, well, he'll need to find Rimmaldar and Garangham as Xarnax did, but then he'll
Xarnax
just
picking up his level 14 off of another Metal Slime. Yeah, and so Edge had built an experience lead, but now that he's having to dive the grave and still has some other locations to potentially track down, Xarnax is having a chance to catch up pretty quickly, although the blue slime is not going to help.
Question in chat, this grind seems slow. It's a little bit tough. Kind of wish we had Osmati Games here to kind of track the experience per minute. Of course, there would be some significant statistical variance there, as of course there's pretty much only 2 enemies that Xarnax wants to fight, and I haven't been paying too much attention to the zone to see if there's 5 different monsters.
There were 5 different monsters. There's a blue slime, a druid, a wolf, a Magiwyvern, and the metal slime. For Welcome Raiders from Randomizer 2. We're kind of late in the seed that has a lot of strength. Xarnax is trying to grind some metal slimes. We don't have Hurtmore yet. And Xarnax did see the Rainbow Drop Cave and had all the items when he did, but failed to actually trade in for the Rainbow Drop, so that's still a bit of homework that he has to do. But both of these players are mostly grinding towards Hurtmore. Edge is still missing some locations on the overworld, but we as the commentators know, and I think Xarnax knows, that the armor has to be in Charlock. And so now you're mostly caught up with where we are in this race.
This is about where I believe Edge is still on that second continent, and I want to say this is where I saw Edge take an intentional death, so perhaps... Xarnax take an intentional death, so perhaps Edge will look to do the same and complete his exploration on the first continent.
There's a golem actually doing an attack on Edge, and so I think that might be the first time that we've seen an attack out of them. But yeah, there's still a lot of unknown monsters that could appear in Charlock. And at this point, yeah, Edge is exploring and getting some experience. Xarnax's grind, I'm not sure if it's necessarily optimal, given that the Blue Dragon has Stop Spell, but Metal Slimes are definitely a lot of fun, and I enjoy seeing it. I know Xarnax enjoys every opportunity to do something like this as well. And it's still seeming reasonably effective, because he was, I don't know, like 1,500 experience points behind a little while ago, and now he's nearly caught up.
Well, we see Edge sorting down a golem, and I only saw that last turn, but it seems like it was just using its giant fist to cast Punchmore. Not terribly effective with all the HP that Edge has.
Yeah, and at this point, I'm not sure which of them is going to reach level 15 first. You always learn all the spells by level 16 in Dragon Warrior Randomizer, so there's a 50-50 chance that Heal More will show up in level 15. If it doesn't show up there, then it's going to show up on 16. And at that point, given the way the other stats are working out, it will probably be time to go at least dive for the armor, if not try to dive to pick up the armor and win in the same dive. That said, with the agility this low and unknown monsters, it's going to be hard. We'll see what the stats come in as level 15 and see what our runner strategies turn out to be.
Absolutely, and it is interesting. I'm really curious what it is. The more I think about it, the more I kind of have to agree with Mike W. in chat. If there were some more beefy monsters here, not this druid, not this blue slime, this might work out better, but because you're declining so many encounters here, I feel like with this attack power, the blue dragon grind just has to be better overall.
Yeah, with the attack power is so high, I think that makes the blue dragon really effective, because at 180 a pop, and it's a completely repeatable tile, and it also has stop spell, which kind of takes some of the edge off in terms of the damage that you'll be taking from it. I think it could be faster, but that said, this grind can't be more variable. If, Xarnax gets lucky and gets 3 metal slimes in a row, he's gotten 2 in a row right here. That's 500 experience in almost no time at all. And so here we're going to get a look at level 15. 2 power, 8 response speed, 3 hit points, 14 magic points. I think he's at least strong enough to dive for the armor, if not try to go win the game at this point.
Yeah, this is looking pretty grind and go. Snapping back into Huxless again.
Yeah, I'm not sure what just happened right there. Maybe he's deciding he wants a Death Warp, and this is the most effective place to do it. That seems plausible.
Question in chat: Son of Orpheus, armor in Sharlock? Yes, armor in Sharlock is confirmed.
Though Edge does not know it for sure yet.
Yes, Edge does not know for sure yet. Still needs to find Rimmildar and Garenham.
And he's also counting out his Death Necklace, which is just a few steps from the start, and so he'll have that picked up very shortly.
And I also kind of... I feel like JJ Schmidt's got the right of it here. It is close enough. And yeah, I feel like the novelty factor is a big reason why Xarnax is choosing to do it at this point.
I mean, yeah, I called it out, earlier when we first saw the huge strength coming. I was like, oh man, that's going to tempt Xarnax to go after the metal slimes, because it's something that I enjoy as well, but he's definitely in my camp of loving it. And it's appearing, he's going right past Sharlock, so it does seem like he remembers where the Rainbow Drop Cave is in order to go get that so that he can form the bridge into Sharlock. So he'll be giving us our first look at Sharlock probably just in another minute or so.
Now the question at this point becomes, what are the odds that he can pull this off in a single dive? He does have at least 1 extra heal more. He could probably spare 2 or 3 with the HP he's got.
Yeah, they have a lot of resources, but we haven't seen any red dragons or armored knights to know if they have any abilities, and so I think it's going to come down to what Sharlock is going to throw at them. But if I were in Xarnax's shoes, I would definitely be diving with the intention of picking up the armor and winning the game all in one dive, at least at the start. Speaking of red dragons, there's one on Edge's side, and so far as I could tell, it was just doing some bites, and so that would work out well for Xarnax. Xarnax apparently saw an interesting monster or something, or he's deciding that he needs to go pop into the town and refill before he goes into Sharlock, I guess. And just to point it out, Mike's saying you can't put on the Death Necklace with this defense. You will be able to after they pick up Erdrick's armor. So yeah, Death Necklace, it's a little bit of a gambling play here, but I think they are strong enough that they would be a favorite to win and win a little bit more quickly with it. That said, it's borderline enough that you could also just win the fight without it, and perhaps it would be, yeah, less risky but a little bit slower.
I personally am not a huge fan of putting on the Death Necklace here, just because, again, once you get to 140 attack power and above, the returns are just small.
There are diminishing returns above 140, that's true.
I don't have the math up in front of me right now, but I honestly want to say at this point it takes maybe a turn off your average at most. Maybe 2, but most likely just 1.
Alright, but Xarnax gets through the first floor without too much trouble, apart from all the damage he's taking from the barrier tiles. You won't have to worry about any more of that, so at this point it's mostly going to be about the enemies, and about one of our favorite games, which is what chest is going to contain Erdrick's armor. There's 6 chests in the Charlock Treasury. We often refer to them by the pyramid game names of 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, and 300 as the various 3 rows of the pyramid, as well as there's a separate chest off in a different part of Charlock that we refer to as the Judge's Table. So get your guesses in for where you think the armor's going to be.
I'm going to go 150.
I went 100 earlier today and it was wrong, so I'll do 100 again and hope that this time I'm right.
And Furon Burgundy with the raid, thank you very much. Welcome in Furon's viewers to what could be a pretty exciting finish.
Yeah, because Edge has, despite the fact that he didn't find Garenham, it looks like he is headed into Charlock, hoping that the armor's going to be down here. He's having much worse luck with the red dragon that's giving him some trouble right here on the first floor. But he's healing up and now trying to hit through this guy. And meanwhile, I think, is Xarnax still just like on the second floor, or is he already down past that? In any case, we have a close race with some good stats, but some missing armor. And this is the first time that Xarnax is seeing the red dragon, I think. Edge had seen it once outside. That's always a scary proposition coming into Charlock without the armor. We also haven't seen Armored Knights, so if they pop up, they could come up with some surprises.
Edge now, Xarnax, I believe, on the 5th floor of Charlock. So here's where we'll get to see if he decides to go to the Judge's Table first, or if he's going to play the odds and go down to the basement first.
But yeah, both of our runners at this point have spent some of their magic trying to stay alive, so this is going to be separate dives, first to pick up the armor, and then a second time to try to go and win, given all the red dragons that they're actually encountering. It seems like they're on both the top and the middle set of floors. And here's our first Stone Man, perhaps.
Pretty classic tried and true sleep and run away. Very likely we will never know what one of those stone men has, unless they happen to be on that Charlock spike tile.
Oh no, Edge just accidentally cast Hurt More at the open air when he was trying to cast Heal instead. So that's another bit. He's gone through a lot of his resources, and he's just here on the second floor right now. So he's going to have a harder time getting all the way down to the basement where the armor is going to be hiding.
It looks like Xarnax is playing the odds here, going to go ahead and check this treasury. This is most painful when it's not here, because having to go back up is just so many extra steps. But
and he managed to get down here with still 48 magic points in the tank, so even if the armor doesn't turn out to be in one of these chests and is on the Judge's Table, he should be able to make it back there. But he's opened 5 of the 6 already, and oh my goodness, it happened again.
Congratulations to anyone in chat who called out that Judge's Table. I saw those kappas, and we did force it.
The memes are intact. All right, and so we're momentarily, assuming Edge manages to stay alive past an Armored Knight, which he manages to run away from, going to get a chance to see if he perhaps makes the less likely choice and decides to go to the judges' table first, which is a possibility given that he's running out of resources. He might choose to go that way. We'll see what happens.
I feel like that's the smart play here. Try to get the that chest first. So that in case you do completely run yourself out of resources, then at least you know you just have to get back down to the basement. Oh boy, this is a nail biter.
Meanwhile, Xarnax starts to reascend. And actually, oh wow, and he's going that way. This is great. This is going to be so exciting now.
This is going to be so close. Needs to make it past this Armored Knight, though. I can't believe it.
So, beyond all hope, I don't know, 10 minutes ago, Edge, it looks like, is likely to get the armor before Xarnax. Edge also has an experience advantage. I don't know that he'll kill enough enemies to actually get up to the next level, but he only needs like another 600 experience if he wanted to. And given how tough this dive was for both of these players, that could be a thing. But yeah, if he manages to, he should have no trouble cutting through the wizard. He's actually going to pick up the armor, I don't know, less than a minute ahead of Xarnax at this point.
This is as PogChamp as it gets. Edge didn't... He just made this is the craziest play. There's 4 chests still out there in the overworld, and you go for Judge's Table first, you get that armor. Will be held up a bit by this blue dragon, but my goodness.
And yeah, I think he's possibly just going to try to stay down here and see if he can grind the 16 and either Death Warp out or cast outside if he manages to stay alive long enough to get the level. And so if there's extra stats at 16, that could actually put him really in the driver's seat. We'll see what happens here. Meanwhile, Xarnax, having picked up his Erdrick's armor as well, is just going to go and refill and try to redrive Charlock.
Edge might have wanted to get himself to the point where the spike tile gets him the level, and that is basically where he's at right now. But taking that little bit of extra time...
I don't like that strategy of waiting to the spike tile to get the level, because agility I always feel like is useful diving Charlock, and so I prefer to kill a monster on the first floor, get the level up, and have extra agility that'll allow me to run from the monsters on the remaining 6 basements. But yeah, different players have different strategies in terms of how to do that.
Solid argument in favor of taking the level as soon as you can, though, and needs to be seen. Xarnax choosing to fight through these red dragons, 72 agility, not really good enough. And he might actually get the level 2, depending on how many of them he runs into.
But yeah, before the level, Edge has filled up and is heading back down, and so we're definitely going to have an exciting race here, and it's still a possibility that one of these dives, or perhaps even both, will fail, given the number of red dragons that are in here. And so there's no assuredness that either one of these runners is going to finish before a minute 15 at this point, in my opinion.
Xarnax getting the Kaishin no Ichigeki, but unfortunately he rolled about as low as he possibly could have.
I said a minute 15, I meant an hour and 15, since we're about an hour and 6 in. Minute 15 would be a very impressive time.
Alright, well here is 16 for Edge. 3, 7, 9, 3. So, a little bit of everything, but
it looks like he turned it around. Like, I don't know that I'd want to refill my magic for 3 more. Like, even if it gave me another heal more there at 16, which it doesn't look like it does. So this is a little bit of a curious part to take the extra time just to walk back to town. Alright, well, that's going to give Xarnax an advantage. That said, Xarnax is having to spend a heal more on a red dragon here. Let's see, with the attack power of 143 and HP of 137, that's going to come at level 16, which looks like Xarnax is going to pick up whether he likes it or not during the dive. Where will that leave him for the Dragon Lord in terms of the number of heal mores?
Absolutely, and Angel saying in chat that this is where the inexperience is starting to show, and I have to agree. It is unfortunate, especially because it was looking like it could be such a nail-biter, but you don't know that when you're racing. And so Edge just playing it a little bit safe here, doing what he feels comfortable with, maybe wanting to refill those herbs, maybe even pick up some fairy water, although he's not really repelling anything, so never mind on that. Yeah, this is pretty much leaving the door wide open for Xarnax to finish this off, and he's going to get the level himself here, too.
But Xarnax is currently running with only 8 Healmore's worth of magic left, and I guess that is enough, because he would be able to put on the Death Necklace with this many hit points, even with the defense where it's standing. But yeah, it's kind of still not an easy fight against the Dragon Lord, so let's see what happens with Xarnax and his dive.
Yeah, I don't have the math for 143 in front of me, but I want to say he needs 1 or 2 doubles if he doesn't put on the Death Necklace, and I'm not even sure if putting on the Death Necklace puts him over that 50% mark.
Yeah, yeah, I tend to always just think about the Death Necklace, but you're right. I think it is probably going to be, well, it's actually close because it's not a long battle with this much strength. He definitely gets some doubles, I think, but he might only get 1 double. That's probably going to be enough. I'm not sure if it's going to be better odds with the Death Necklace or without, actually. But yeah, we also still haven't seen what the spike tile is. It could still be, is there any enemy that it could be that we haven't seen? I guess not.
So doing a little bit of quick math here, you're looking at 7 or 8 attacks if he puts the Death Necklace on. So I could see that happening here as he is sitting on 8 Healmores. But honestly, 10 to 11 is what they're talking about here in chat, and and Bit is saying he's very likely to get a double at 137. I mean, it is tough, and sometimes you find yourselves in those awful situations where you get that double, and then you immediately have to spend that Healmore back because you get a bad one. I mean,
I think he's going to get at least 1 double, if not 2, with that many hit points, would be my guess, even in kind of a shorter fight. But yeah, we'll see what choice he makes. This will be another thing to ask him if he even had a chance to think of it on the way down, because he's basically just trying to stay alive and preserve these Healmores. Yeah. And meanwhile, Edge still trying to make his way down.
Beta noting, Edge is using Fairy Water, and unfortunately he is repelling nothing here. If you were at 80, he'd be repelling Wizards, but not even that high. And that's also something Xarnax needs to be aware of. I'm sure he is. I believe he could get hit for 49, maybe 50 at this defense. So
yeah, he could definitely get hit for 50 by a Dragon Lord bite, but those are so rare that I usually tend to just discount them and just worry about healing anytime you're down to 48 or fewer hit points.
Well, alrighty, here we go. Going into Dragon Lord 1 with now just 7 Healmores. See if he puts on the Death Necklace or not. Oh, back attack by DL1, oh no!
Not the best start.
Absolutely wallops the Dragon Lord for 51, 37 to finish it off. No Death Necklace here.
Oh, back attacked by Dragon Lord 2 as well. Oh no. Now he definitely needs at least a couple of doubles. Which seems like it could happen.
Hate to see it. I do believe he started off with a 17, so up to 37 damage now. We'll get a double here. 52 next swing needs to be a big one. A minimum roll!
He still has chances. People are saying hurt more strats. You don't need to go to that just yet, I think. Like, there's still a chance that he could get 3 doubles if he gets really lucky and the Dragon Lord bites a lot.
He's got to get a real good Healmore here. Gets a decent one. And I lost my count now. His rolls have not been great. I want to say he's right around 91 or something, just barely over halfway. Really needs
Meanwhile,
some
Edge is on the
cooperation.
bottom floor, and he still has 10 heal mores in the tank. I said when they were going in that still could be the case that either runner could fail during this dive. We'll see what happens here.
Oh, you have to swing there, Xarnax. What are you doing?
He doesn't lose that much healing, but yes, you gotta swing there, I agree. It probably isn't gonna cost him a swing, assuming the Dragon Lord doesn't hit him here at 46 and gives him one more chance. 42, so he does get one more swing. Yep, and he still pulls it off. Yep.
Wow.
Huge HP pool makes something like that possible. I don't know that he played it completely optimally, but he did it good enough. He finished off the Dragon Lord first, and it looks like he's going to be the winner of this race. Fantastic play from a veteran.
Absolutely absurd. Gets the 1 and 8, 42 damage Dragon Lord 2 breath right when he needed it.
And let's not overlook Edge, who took a big risk diving Charlock and going for the judges' table first. And even though he's going to come in second place, he is right behind Xarnax. He is a huge favorite against the Dragon Lord here with this much magic points in the tank.
Yeah, absolutely an overwhelming favorite here to go ahead and finish this off. We should be getting Xarnax in here momentarily to ask him some questions. And Lorgon, I think I know what you're going to want to ask him first. Harrison calling it out in chat. That was RNG giving Xarnax his free turn back. And yeah, could have swung there on 49. Chose not to. Didn't like the potential for dying right there. And it worked out for him in the end. Yeah, it's really unfortunate that Edge turned around when he did. It'll be interesting to ask him about that, see what it was that was going through his mind. But please break out your GGs once again, as Edge is going to clean up this Dragon Lord. An absolutely fantastic race here tonight. Again, of course, featuring one of our veterans and one of our up-and-coming journeymen. And EdgeTalvaron has finished in second place with an official racetime.gg time of 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 35 seconds. And he also has agreed to join us for this interview momentarily. Alrighty, I do believe we have Xarnax here in the booth with us and EdgeTalvaron at the same time. GG to both of you. That was a fantastic end to a fantastic race. Xarnax, I'm going to start with you. How are you feeling overall right now?
Holy moly. I don't know. I didn't realize Edge. I just pulled up the stream, saw that Edge is done already too. GG. So I don't know if he was that close behind. I don't know if you guys were able to count my my DL2 fight.
I was kind of keeping tabs on it, but we were also keeping tabs on Edge's grinds.
Right.
If we're gonna start with that, I'm shocked you didn't swing on 49.
You know, I mean, it's one of those split-second things where as soon as I healed, I was like, I don't know. I think it was about even odds either way, because I knew, I mean, I knew it was a gamble to not swing, but had I swung, I would have healed and then probably gotten a 2 more swings after that. Healing at 49 gave me a really good shot at a triple.
That's true, and it did end up coming through for you with that low roll on the Dragon Lord 2 right there at the very end.
Exactly, but man, that was nerve-wracking.
Oh, believe me, we were on the edge of our seats here up in the commentator's booth, and I gotta ask you real quick, because I don't think we were sure here in chat whether or not it was picking up the token in the throne room that you forgot about, or maybe missing the stones because you had the chest glitch active, but you walked into the jerk and walked right back out.
Yeah, I spent the next 15 minutes looking the whole overworld for the stones. Until I cleared every chest in the game and realized, oh, I guess I have them.
Alrighty, yeah, so that clears that up. Yeah, it was kind of funny because you know, sometimes, especially in a seed like this where, you know, you get hurt more early, you get a bunch of spells early, you get the sword fairly early, and you're just kind of off to the races, early keys, all of that good stuff. Sometimes you tend to forget that you get a quest item in the throne room, but yeah, we were also thinking, you know, maybe you forgot that one of those Harp Knights was actually the Stones of Sunlight, so it's good to get that cleared up. Meanwhile, I'd like to turn this over to EdgeTalvaron real quick. Edge, congratulations on a well-won or well-fought race, but overall, how are you feeling about the seed?
Well, first and foremost, let me say GG to Xarnax, man. Well done, man. This right here, I'm not upset with. The only thing I think I probably could have done better is paid attention to my defense and just not picked up the fairy water, and I might have been closer to catching me.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to ask about that, so I have actually several questions for you. The first one of those being, you never found Garenham or, by extension, the Tablet Cave or Rimeldar, I don't believe. So there were still 5 chests left on the overworld, but you decided to go into Sherlock instead, which turned out to be the correct play. But could you talk me through the thought process there?
Yeah, my thought process is I thought I had explored everything, and I was like, well, I'm still missing 2 towns. I'm still missing a cave. I'll take a wild stab in the dark. So that was just a complete gamble.
I see. Well, that gamble, I mean, there were 2 gambles there that ended up paying off for you. We were kind of wondering, as Xarnax did his first dive, whether or not he was going to hit the judges table first or just go into the treasury, and you ended up doing that, and you guys pretty much got the armor within about I want to say within 10 seconds of each other. It was absurdly close because Xarnax went all the way down to the treasury, and you decided to go to the Vanilla Sword location first. Was that motivated more by MP, or would you have done that in any situation?
Honestly, because of the way that I've done a lot of my practice seeds and stuff like that, in a situation like that, I typically err on the side of this game trolls me a lot, so let's just play the troll play and see what happens.
Yeah, and I know that I haven't looked too much into it, but I recently saw mentioned in the Discord that Tilo did a little bit of analysis on kind of the different scenarios and how many steps you might take if you go to the Vanilla Sword spot first versus trying to make the odds-on play. And Xarnax knows now all too well in this particular scenario that you do end up having to make quite a few extra steps.
Well, I'm a pretty strong advocate, more so than a lot of people, for going to the middle first in the right situation. This, for me, certainly wasn't. Partly because I saw so many red dragons in that just throughout Sherlock. And I knew if I had one more encounter where I had to burn another heal more, there was 0 chance of a 1 dive finish. So I knew my only chance of finishing that same dive was if it was in the bottom. Had that already been out of play, then I probably would have gone vanilla first. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly what I was seeing. The second zone is a huge factor in whether or not I check that chest first.
I see. That's interesting. That's not something that I had considered, but that makes a lot of sense. If there is something there that you are a little bit worried is going to cost you some extra resources, then maybe heading down to the basement is the better play, and hopefully that zone is a little bit friendlier. To go to another point here, Xarnax, a lot of people were bringing up in chat that pretty early on you guys were one-shotting metal slimes. Xarnax, you want to say a little bit about that?
I guess. It wasn't a big part of my game, I don't think.
Not at all.
No, I was really. Man, I'm pretty proud of myself actually for finding them. The first one I saw was in Mountain Cave, and the zone where I actually ended up grinding them, I had never seen one until I explicitly went to grind there. I was 90% sure that was the right zone. So when or Swamp Cave, I said Mountain Cave, I meant Swamp. My first foray into Swamp Cave, just to check the spike tile, I got a metal slime, I think I got a scorpion, I got a Magiwyvern, and I made a mental note. I was like, okay, metal scorpions and Magiwyverns are in the same zone. And that patch where I ended up grinding, every time I walked through it, all I ever saw was Magiwyverns because I had Repel on. So as soon as I was in grind and go mode, I went back there. Before, I guess, all I was waiting for was heal more. I immediately went back there to see if I was right that was the same zone with the metal slimes. And I don't know if it was the exact same zone, but I think it was. But it obviously worked out. And then I had to decide whether or not it was worth staying there versus grinding blue dragons. And that came down, like, if I had gotten a long string of slimes and druins, that could have pushed me to leave, but that never happened. Because I was one-shotting basically everything, and blue dragons were taking about 3 shots. It basically came down to the fact that I didn't have to heal, barely at all. I could do my entire grind without going back home.
Yeah, and it was really interesting. I mean, chat was talking a lot. I mean, Edge ended up doing a pretty dedicated blue dragon grind in Hawksness for a while. And but Xarnax, I want to ask you about, since you did do such a unique grind, what your thought process was in terms of just general efficiency. A couple of people in chat were saying that maybe if some of the other monsters were a little bit meatier, like maybe if you didn't have that blue slime and that Drew in there, that it might have been better. And then, of course, there's always statistical variation. I mean, you could get, 20 slimes in a row, or you could get, 20 encounters without slimes in a row. I'm kind of curious what your thought process there is in terms of just the overall efficiency of that particular zone or of metal slime zones in general.
Yeah, I guess. It seemed worth checking out to me. And I like, even if it were an inferior grind, I definitely wanted to see how it played out. I frequently bring up, if I ask in chat if I see someone's AP over 130, I ask if we've seen metal slimes. It's something that's always on my mind as a potential grind. And one thing that was going through my mind was, I'm almost positive that Edge is grinding blue dragons right now. I want to do metal slimes just so I can watch this back and see how they differ.
Yeah, I was kind of wishing we had Osmotic Games in chat, because he always likes to whip out the charts in the Excel spreadsheets and try to figure it out. I feel like, though, it's just difficult. I mean, it definitely worked out here. Edge had already done a bit of a dedicated grind up to 14 before you were doing those metal slime grinds, but I mean, it did seem to work out. I mean, I wasn't paying attention overall, but it seemed pretty quick, and by the time you decided you were done, you guys were pretty even on experience. And Mike pointing out in chat that because the grinds were asynchronous, it's a bit harder to tell. But I mean, I think you can pretty much go back and see. I want to say you guys were right around the same starting point in terms of experience, but definitely something to watch back and study for sure.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to take a look at that.
Edge, I want to turn it back over to you. I have at least one more question for you. So you went down and you did manage to get that armor. You took a few more fights, and then you went back into Charlock, finished off the level, and then went back to heal. Can you talk about that for a little bit? I was kind of surprised that you chose to do that.
Is he still here?
He's still here in Discord, but maybe potentially stepped away.
Sorry, guys, I lost network connection there for a second.
Oh, okay. So I'll go ahead and repeat the question. Edge, I'm just curious about your thought process where, so you had gotten the armor, and you fought a few things before you hit the outside spell, came back into Charlotte, got the level, and then left to go heal. I'm kind of curious about your thought process there.
I did not realize where my herb count was, and it was just kind of one of those. I thought about it if I had enough, but I also had the extra the 3 points, and it wasn't enough for another. Heal more, and my thought process was just go back and restock and reheal and just make the dive real quick. And I think the kicker to that was not paying attention to my defense, and then I just now realized that I never equipped the Dragon Scale.
Oh,
so yeah, I harp on that every time I do commentary, and here I find myself actually falling to my own folly on that one. But no, I read it as 87 and not 77, and yeah, I just kind of misread.
Oh, that makes more sense, because I was also curious about the Fairy Water play, but yeah, if you had misread your defense, then that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, because when I bring up the stat menu, I just kind of glance real fast at the numbers,
right.
Just quick memorization, and then go. And I thought I saw 87 and not 77, and I was like, oh, Fairy Waters could be great. And then when I started getting hit by Wizards and Star Wyverns, I was like, I miscalculated something.
Yeah, that got me at one point too. Right when it was go mode, we had 84 MP. And I started walking to Hawksness because I saw 64. Right when we got heal more, I was like, I need to grind one more level. 64 is not going to be enough to dive and finish. But then as soon as I got into Hawksness, opened my menu again, I was like, wait a second, it's time to go.
Yeah, and as far as the metal slimes, I saw we were one-shotting them, and I one-shotted quite a few of them, but I just didn't feel it was going to be the play to go. I don't know how far behind or ahead I ever was in the seed. I just felt that this one was just go, just go, just go. You've got a lot of things going, and just try to get as much experience as you could.
I'm surprised that I managed to pull it out, because I definitely lost a lot of time. There's one area of the map. It was double swamp. There were 2 swamps to go through that we went through early in the game. I went through the first one, then got blocked by the second, didn't have enough HP to get through it. And then that's where Garenham and Rimildar were.
Never found them.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have if I had recognized that I picked up the stones or remembered. But when I was looking for the stones, I basically went around the entire part of the map that I had explored, did all of that again before figuring out which direction I had to go. It wasn't until I got back up there that I was like, oh, I died here like at 20 minutes into the race.
Yeah, and to touch back on a quick conversation that we were having earlier, Lavkin, the main reason for the Charlock dive versus finding Rimildar, Garenham, and the Free Cave, or the Tablet Cave, was law of averages. There's more chests in Charlock, so that was kind of my thought processing. So it was hit the first one, then I know it's usually the spot where it trolls me the worst, and then if I hit the bottom and don't find it, then my bad, I'll go back out and grind it and try to find it, but it kind of worked in my favor.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely an understandable play. I've definitely made that play myself before in situations where Charlock is on the map, but there's some, the armor's in Charlock, and there's potentially there, and there's some missing locations. Just a little bit better than a coin flip that it was in Charlock, but that coin flip came up heads for you, so good job there. So now we're going to go ahead and start to wrap things up here. First, we go ahead and say GG once again to Xarnax42. Turn it over to you. Any last comments?
I mean, thanks for calling the race. Thanks for trackers and restreamers, Synth, and was it Archfield tracking?
Angel,
sorry. Yeah, thanks guys. And yeah, we can't get these restreams without the volunteers, so much appreciated. GG Edge. I'm excited to watch this one back.
it's going to be a very exciting and worthwhile one to watch back indeed. And Edge, GG on, again, a very good race. It was very close, and good job. Lots to learn here from watching this one back. Of course, good luck in your future races. Any final comments?
Yeah, just to mirror Xarnax, man. Thanks for the all of the restreamers, trackers, commentators that are doing this, because it doesn't happen without everybody volunteering and putting their time in. So, and then I'm definitely looking forward to watching this one back, learning from a few mistakes, and kind of just getting better. I feel that if I gave Xarnax this close of a run, I'm definitely getting better at this, and I'm definitely picking up a lot of pieces and parts. Just watching some of the other guys run. So I'm definitely looking forward to future races here in the tournament as well.
The one other thing is I am sad that Lorgon had to bounce. I wanted him to yell at me and tell me what I did wrong.
Well, I'm sure he'll be happy to at a later date. But that is going to do it for us here as we slowly approach 1 o'clock in the morning. Over on the East Coast. Go ahead, please drop a follow on both of our runners. They did put on an amazing show for you tonight, EdgeTalvaron and Xarnax42. Thanks once again, as always, to our behind-the-scenes crew, Lord of the Synth, bringing you the restream, Angel FM, pressing the buttons, making things light up, and of course, myself and Lorgon bringing you the commentary. And as always, chat, if you out there in the audience still, after 6 years of watching, coming back every time, watching these matches, if you have not gotten involved in this randomizer action, there is just one thing you have to do, and that is click that Discord link. There are so many people here who are more than ready to help you out, get started. You could be here in the commentator's booth getting interviewed with us. Just got to click that link. But until next time, thank you once again for joining us, and have a nice night and stay safe, everyone.